Why not like energy audit, we made it mandatory, Energy Conservation Act. Why not we make this mandatory under some legislation? And wastage of a resource which is shrinking, which is made available to us in 35 days in a year. Rainfall, that's the only resource.
Yeah.
So 35 days in a year, and that must meet my need for 365 days. Then why can't we have such legislation which makes these pipeline more efficient, where every drop I can account for? Then you have another business of the saving should be good enough to pay back the investment. Third is the water supply. I am still not seeing why water supply. We should not talk about privatization. It's a pure management, construction and management of water supply. Collection of revenue should initially remain with the statutory bodies, that is the municipalities, because there that's a place where there is a challenge. If today I am charging 100 rupee per household, I should continue to charge 100 rupee.
Correct.
See the efficiency gain from the private sector, at least to the municipality, that is the gain. Then after 5-6 years of good supply, good delivery, then say, look, I have gained so much of money, why not hand it over? Or if not hand over, let it continue. Still, so that kind of, I see this three area as area of private sector investment, which should be supported through the annuity to begin with, and later maybe after 10-15 years when you have created a robust revenue stream, then think of based on revenue stream PPP.
Since most of these mandates are at the state level, sir,
or at the city level.
so or at the city level, but quite a bit big cities are called states are calling the shots.
That's right.
It's still a state.
So how do we, in this annuity model, how do we, hasten the process of improvement? I think that is a big challenge. Like the experience of Nagpur is not moving even within the state, leave alone going to
No,
Telangana
Nagpur had a ready-made market. Like we did same thing we did for Jamnagar. It had ready-made market. SRs bought that water for 18 crores rupees a year. So it was a ready-made market. But that kind of situation is not there in all the town. But when government is taking care of the investment, entire investment is not the municipality, then the municipality says, okay, I am neither bearing the investment cost, capital cost, nor O&M cost. The moment you ask them to bear the O&M cost, your money is sunk.
Yeah.
Your entire capital is sunk.
What you're saying is that the capital cost will be borne by the state government, not the city.
Need not either by the state, no,
Or the
state,
central. So
state, center put together. In any case, you are devolving, you're giving money through devolution.
that's right.
So use part of the devolution, because these are, if you don't handle water today, water and the wastewater, and replace use of fresh water for non-potable purposes with grey water, treated grey water,
Right.
we are in for a serious problem. Already, from 1,700 meter cube per capita per year, we are projecting 1,070 meter cube per capita by 2030. I was a week back I was in Tamil Nadu. By 2030 they are projecting 80% deficit.
Wow.
I mean, where will they get? I asked them this question and I didn't have any answer.
They can't
So
manufacture water.
you can't manufacture water. You can't get extra
Yeah.
rainfall.
Yeah.
You
Unless
can't get, so
desalination.
it has to be at everybody's. We have to gradually build up a campaign, whichever way it is, and educate our political masters, our people, that this is how it has to be, and our participation is very, very important. Otherwise, tomorrow you will face, in terms of quality, in terms of quantity, in terms of efficiency.
So will government think on these lines, sir, that some mandatory targets, like in the power sector, we have the green, they have to do 10% of their installed capacity as the renewable thing. So will there be, can government give some mandatory targets of treated water, consumption? Or can there be a pricing to incentivize reuse? Because fresh water from the historical reservoirs costs nothing. We consider it practically free. If we build a new dam today, it costs 55 rupees. Whereas the treated water has definitely a merit to do that.
I may have to go there now.
Yeah.
So that's a challenge. It's a huge challenge for us, and I really don't know how to begin with, how to convince the state government, but a lot of convincing is required to be taken. In Ganga, since entire 100% grant is coming from the central government, everybody is responding.
So also in Amrit.
So we thought that use this money, the public money, to create a market. 15 years and perhaps that could show the way.
Can I
People
make
said
a-
that whatever starts from Bihar, then rest of the country follows. So let
Yes.
it be started from Ganga and rest of the country follow.
Yes, I'll just make one quick point from the private sector. I mean, there are at least 3 of us as developers. And I know for sure that we are developing the city in Bangalore. We'd never do it in Gurgaon because we have only 24 hours in a day and we cannot put the headache of what Haryana offers us. Similarly, if I am doing a PPP, I'd rather do a highways PPP than a water PPP.
This is the most difficult
It's the most
infrastructure.
difficult. So, therefore, if we know that the risk for the private sector is the highest in water, I know that risk and return go together. So, I'm going to make my bid the most expensive also. So, that's why I'm saying there aren't very many people who have the courage that, Lakhani Saab has.
You see, all the difficulties also offer opportunities.
That's true. So, your return goes up. But what happens? What happens is that if your return goes up there, then the activists will immediately start saying that 100 rupee water is being sold at 300. So it's a trade-off.
So perhaps the ministry should really, put this out in an understandable format. The future options of not doing something will also cost you so much. The cost of doing this today versus the cost of, other things, postponing it. The cost of what is the economic value you're adding to this. So if you had a credible person doing this and then putting it out in Hindi and
this
Kannada,
recycling,
as
mandatory
opposed to-
recycling, and in 2008, Ministry has already notified, and 13 Finance Commission endorsed it, that 20% of the water, wastewater, which is almost like 80% of water, has to be recycled. Now that's an advisory.
For industry.
No,
For
that's
the
for the
municipal?
municipal. So it's 20% is
Uh-huh.
has to be recycled. But that's part of the 13 Finance Commission. These are not taken seriously. Now
They
the
don't
question
have
is,
a treatment
in
plant.
Amrut, it
Yeah,
has
in
to be
Amrut.
like a mandatory thing.
Right.
That at least 5% to
Yeah,
begin with.
correct.
The problem is Amrut itself is there's no leave. I mean, it's not like JNNURM also, where substantial grant was coming to push the states or the local governments. Here, the grant component has come down dramatically compared to the. So I don't know how much one can leverage or arm twist states and cities. One has to see. But I think that's an entry point where 5 to 10% can be made as a mandatory requirement.
Yeah, I think, to sum it up, like there is a dire need to address the water issues on the distribution side as well as on the reuse side, without which we will be facing serious consequences in the coming times. There are different views, of course, whether governments should invest or there should be a hybrid model where they give an annuity support for the private investors to come in and then build a revenue model together over a period of time, which looks,
Develop that market.
yeah.
Create
Which-
that.
And very, as rightly said, that you have to first deliver, improve the services. Then, if you start charging, probably there will be a great willingness to pay, rather than first charging and then promising a
Our
delivery.
problem is that, if my child, he keeps failing, I want him to stand, straight away I want him to stand first in the class. So you have to develop him over a period of time. So PPP, pure PPP, starting straight away from pure governmental and worst management to PPP, that will happen if people really start demanding. If the people are really unhappy with the services, and they demand, and then you get political leadership which is willing to do that, then it may be. But otherwise, most of the
Definitely,
places
even
do not. And the vested interest.
Yeah.
It's a great vested interest in each place.
So this is my favorite Marathi proverb. मावशीला मिशा असतात तर तिला मावशा म्हटलं असतं, which means if my aunt had a mustache, she'd be my uncle. If all this had to happen.
But lighter side aside, this point of citizen engagement, as I say, the 4P model, graduating from PPP, can give you insurance and also push the reforms
If you had a
pace
credible
much more.
bank, sponsored by the ministry, like the armed forces, further, which did all this research and worked out, water is such a multidisciplinary subject we don't have such a entity that, little bit you are doing, little bit you are doing, but no one is bringing it together. Nobody is doing the numbers. Nobody is able to then put it out in a way that is understandable and that is continuously working on it. So maybe if you just spend 10 crores in setting up a independent think tank, which is funded partly by you but partly by whatever WSP, which did all this background data, which did all this ranking, which did all this, costing and modeling, and the non-opportunity, if you didn't do this, what else would happen? People can understand in their own language.
We are bringing this to the notice of the government. We have a system of bringing notice to the government and then ask them for a different decision. The cabinet
But what we need according to what we will need according to if it is true for water, it's true for many sectors. You are talking about accountability, efficiency, stability, performance. It's a good point. But we need to have, if you go to tender process or whatever, we need to have some criteria on it. What will be the criteria? And then to be eligible to award tomorrow a project, we have to have some criteria. Who will decide the performance? Why you have to get a performance of 85% or 95%? How you will make it? And after, how you will make the follow-up? And then it's definitely a team of experts has to be there who is credible to judge or to evaluate the private sector who is doing the job. Because otherwise it will lead to some discussion and then the private will fight with the public and they will not get paid and the project will fail.
You're absolutely right, but I think in the Ganga program, is whatever I understand, is that there should be a very clear service.
Program, unfortunately, 7,000 who flow with the water.
Yeah, that's old. Yeah, but there are 70,000 that we need further.
And how to meet the future demand then? For example, population is increasing. We are cutting down the per capita, or giving more to somebody, giving less to somebody, in any unequal distribution. Considering the fact we cannot manufacture water also, but what will be the future then?
Yes, and there will be fights between farmers and others. There will be fights between farmers and
So many
industry,
other conflicts.
fights between farmers and power developers, fights
there's
between farmers and cities.
We are not cutting it
improvement
down.
is only,
It's the only
That's the only answer.
efficiency improvements
only
and
Now,
storages
can we
in
do like this?
lakhs and lakhs of
Charging more from the affluent people are charging more for the water, and you reinvesting the money for the other to recharge.
you have to try all permutation combination. It's not one shoe fits all.
Government cannot invest so much of money also for this sector.
True. In Tamil Nadu, government provides only 25 to
That's
30%
what
subsidy
government cannot
of a
expect.
project grant. Rest they borrow from the World Bank. They have set up TNUDF. I was heading that,
Of course.
and people pay. People
Correct.
pay, so they meet the
What is it?
paramount.
Sewerage, Alandur and others.
Yes,
So borrowing money from the World Bank, ADB or JICA, so many things are fine. But ultimately we have to pay back with the lesser interest also. But what I'm telling here, the people, affluent people, they can pay a little more for the water what they get. For example, industries or power sector, whatever they're charging like that. Whereas agriculture sector can be waived off the more interest and other things also. The generated funds can be reused, how to recharge the sewage and also reusable. We have to think on that more to supply.
This is already there, like in the corporations, the industrial charges and commercial charges are much higher.
Much
Like
higher,
they
yes,
pay 100 rupees per unit, whereas the
No,
consumer
but
pays 5
let us
rupees.
think, taking this idea forward, our city of Delhi is divided into different zones for property tax purposes. A, B, C, D, depending on Jorbagh is A category and something else is E category. So can we have variable water rates depending on the municipal property rates?
No, it's
So a house in Jorbagh will automatically pay 3 times than the
like in
house in...
Tamil Nadu, the rate is based on the plinth area.
Exactly. Something
No, but to take about rich wealth people, so a colony which is rated A for municipal tax purposes should possibly have little bit more fixed
I don't
charge.
agree. A citizen is a citizen.
The city to decide, not the government of India.
But when it's better that you have a plinth area basis. Otherwise,
correct.
in upper caste also you have
just
poor
like tax,
people.
you pay the house tax, something like we pay.
No, but we can very much trust the politician to find any way to collect the money at a different level. But this is not a big issue. They are very innovative everywhere in the world.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
don't say anything. I have only one point of thought to make.
No, he's actually the ground.